Before we start the video, a large thank you to Robert and Shifta for their support on Patreon. I hope you guys enjoy the video. And as always, an immense thank you to Halo Burner and Ryan Bellin for their immense and continued support of the channel this month on Patreon. It is greatly appreciated, gentlemen, and I hope you enjoy the video. Hello everybody, today we are going to finalize our storage system. So let's start by opening up our Player UI Storage Manager. And I'm going to go right below the first line, and I'm going to basically check for any inventory slots and deselect them. So I just yoinked this in the Shop Inventory Manager, but this makes it so our buttons aren't already selected when we open. Actually, I am going to put this, we're going to say select the deselect button, copy and paste this comment, and I'm going to go down and check for this code for selecting a first button. So I'm going to go back over here to the Storage Manager and paste that. Again, this is from the Shop Manager that we made previously, and this is basically going to sort through all of the possible buttons and just select the first button that is active when opening the menu. So I will put a bool down here for has first selected inventory slot, and again I just yoinked this straight from the Shop Manager here. So if you want to pause and write that down, go for it, or copy and paste it. And I'm just going to change Shop Inventory to Player Inventory. Okay, going to save that now, and I am going to go back up here and move this deselect slot after the inventory has been initialized. Otherwise, the first time you open it, you're probably going to get an error. So let's just put that right under player inventory equals, like so. All right, cool. I am going to save this again, and then we're going to go into the world, go to my storage, and here we go. I do see, though, that my storage item name is, you see how it says item name? I'm actually changing the menu name. So I'm going to fix this by dragging in my variables. So now when I actually go over an item, it's going to change the proper title. Alright, I'm going to copy and paste populate inventory, and I'm going to change this to populate storage, and we're going to say not selecting from a player inventory. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to our player inventory manager, and we're going to make a list of items for our items in storage. So if I go over here, I can yoink items in inventory from the character inventory manager, and I'm going to paste this down here, and instead I will call it items in storage. So this is going to be quite literally identical to what we've already done, but you replace the keyword here with inventory with storage. So I won't spend too much time, but right here, for example, items in inventory, obviously this is going to become items in storage, and we're going to want to instantiate in a new location. So previously we had this instantiation parent for our inventory. Well, let's go ahead and make one right now also for our storage, like that. Now we can use the same game object, but we'll get to that in a bit. We're just going to add a flag for it. So make sure you're instantiating the things in storage from the newly created storage instantiation point. And likewise, we're going to make another array. Instead of it being the player inventory, we'll call it player storage, but it will use the same variable type of storage inventory slot. So just basically go down through this function, and wherever you see the word inventory, you're going to want to basically change that to storage. And that's it. So let's do this really quickly. And what we're going to do is we're going to load this when we load or open the menu for the first time. So we're loading the player's inventory and also the player's inventory, where they have in storage. So I guess we'll call it the storage inventory. And we're going to put them side by side. And the goal is whenever you click on an inventory slot or press a button on it, it's going to move from whichever location it's into the opposite. So an item in your inventory will obviously go to storage, and an item in storage will go to your inventory. Now we don't actually need this has first selected slot check because we are going to always check for the player inventory. I just thought about it actually. What happens if we open and there's nothing in the inventory, but you have something in storage? Okay, actually I'll get to that later. So for now though, I will just delete this because we're going to put that in a single location, but I won't get ahead of myself. Okay. So we're populating the storage. Let's call that up here right now. And I'm going to go very fast. So again, if you need to slow it down or rewatch it, go for it. I'm going to try to get everything in this one video that we have left. I think I can do it. So let's go and save that, jump over here, go to the Player UI Manager, and I'm going to enable my storage menu. And I'm just going to delete the storage inventory slot and duplicate the player, the one that I have. I'm doing this because we already set the player inventory here up with scroll rect and stuff. So I'll call this storage inventory, and if we go to our storage manager and I click here, you can see I got this content that's from instantiating it. Well, let's grab the content from the storage and instantiate that there as well. Alright, I'm going to close the menu, save it. I'm going to go and put our random item in my storage here from the player inventory manager. Actually, I'll put two. And now when we open up the storage slot, it should display. Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So it's not doing anything right now, though. If I go over here, you can see it's actually updating the wrong item title. It should be updating the one in the storage. So let's go over now into the player manager before we deal with that. And let's make sure we're saving and loading the data properly. So over here in saving the data, you can see here we have all these lists. And if we go to character save data, we have all these too. So copy everything that says inventory. And again, change the keyword inventory to storage, because just like before, this is going to save and load identically to our player's inventory. So all we got to do is copy and paste it and change the keyword inventory to storage, and it'll work just like our player inventory has. So I'm going to do this, and then also when I come down to the character save data and make sure I'm initializing them as new lists or new serializable whatever. Again, changing the keyword inventory here to storage. And let's just see, change the storage. And I'm sure a lot of you know this, but you can hold Alt, by the way, and highlight multiple things at once and change them if they line up, but these don't really line up, so I can't do it. All right, back over here, let's copy everything, and then we paste it. And I'm going to edit this out in post, but I'll do a few here right now to show you. So just change, wherever it says inventory, just change it to storage, and that's basically all you gotta do. And then we got to do this for the load functionality too, because right now we're saving it to our character data, but we also want to do where we load it from our character data. So I'm going to rename these two, for example. So instead of weapon in inventory, I'm just going to say weapon in storage. You don't need to do this, but I like doing this because if I come back and glance at this in the future, it's very easy to discern that this is not the inventory, this is storage. Okay, that's done. Through the magic of editing, we're going to snap back and we're good. Now let's go down to the load game data. And we're going to do the same thing here, but I'm going to yoink every for loop. And you can see I made a comment up here where my inventory starts. It's right below where I'm done loading things in my HUD or my quick slots. I had to change inventory to storage. And again, the same thing. I'll do some quick snapping here back to when I'm done, but I'll just do a couple real quick. Wherever you see inventory, just change it to storage, like so. Actually, real quick, we have add items inventory. I'll make the add item to storage. So let's go and copy that and then go to our player inventory manager and paste, because we're going to need to make remove item from storage later as well. So I'll say add item to storage, and instead of referencing items in inventory, we're going to reference items in storage, and that should be good. Let's copy that and go back. And then wherever you see add to inventory, just boom, add to storage like that. All right, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to start and I'll be right back. Okay, we're done. Now, if I come into the game and I put these items in my inventory, I just want to make sure they're saving before I move on, or my storage rather. I'm going to go back out and go back in, and now if I open storage, I should see a shield and yes, armor. Cool. All right, we know that works. Great. Now let's keep moving on. Let's go over to our storage inventory slot, and I'm going to call this storage manager inventory slot, and that would imply there's a storage manager storage slot, because we need to discern which one we're over. And now, you can see here, let's just copy that is selecting from player inventory and let's paste it on the UI storage inventory slot script. And I'm going to call the header inventory slot type. Why am I doing this? Well, we need to know where we're selecting from because we need to know what to withdraw from and where to deposit it. So we're going to say player UI manager instance dots player UI storage manager dot is selecting from player inventory is equal to whatever's on the slot, because when we select the slot, we're going to trigger this. Now, let's save that, and I'm actually going to go over to the Player UI Storage Manager, and I'm going to copy this storage inventory game slot, and I'm going to change this. What am I going to call this? Okay, the original one, we're going to change the name to Player Inventory Slot, and then the second one, the new one, we're going to call Storage. So make sure you change that appropriately. Whoops, I just think I just changed the wrong one. And then I need to go down here. Yeah, this is on populate inventory. Okay, so on populate inventory, I'm going to call player inventory slot, and on populate storage, I'm going to call storage inventory slot. Made that very confusing for myself. All right, I'm going to save that, and now I'm going to go over and make sure the right ones are in. And man, this name still is kind of not enough. Hang on, let me just edit this real quick and make it very clear. So I'm going to drag both these in, and I'm going to call one storage manager player storage slot and the other one storage manager player inventory slot. That's better. All right, cool. Make sure you on-tick is selecting from player inventory for your storage slot, and then boom, we go back into the game through the magic of editing. I fast forwarded, and yes, that is indeed working. Okay, I'm going to go back to select slot now, and right below that, I'm going to make a public void swap item location. This is going to be super simple. It should be like 4 lines of code, maybe 5, I don't know. So let's go and highlight these, whoops, one at a time. And on the on-click event, we're going to go to UI storage slot, and we're going to say swap item location. And do the same thing here for the other one. And there we go. So now whenever we click this or basically hit the button on this, we're going to trigger this function. And we're going to say if this is from our inventory, well, we know we want to remove it from inventory and add it to our storage. Otherwise, we want to remove it from storage and add it to our inventory. So we're going to say player instance, player inventory, remove item from inventory, current item. Oh, I forgot. Let's do a null check too. If current item is null, return. So a handful of lines here, a few more than I thought. And after we do a null check, remove from inventory, and then add to storage. And now we're going to do the inverse if we're selecting from our storage, where we're instead going to remove it from our storage and add it to our inventory. But we don't have a function to remove it from our storage yet. So I'm going to call this function that doesn't exist. And then I am going to go to our remove item. Oh, don't forget to add to inventory. I'm going to go to remove from inventory. I'm going to yoink the code here. And I'm going to copy it and paste it directly. And again, I'm going to change, you guessed it, the keyword inventory to storage. And then that will work much the same. So I'm going to say public void. Oh, not public void void. Change inventory to storage. And then down here, we're going to obviously check for stackables. Someone asked me in the Discord the other day if we handled stackables. I guess this is your answer. Yes, we do. I kind of forgot that we did that. So let's go back over here now, and there we go. It looks good. And let's go to the populate inventory and remove this is selecting from inventory. Why am I doing this? Well, I'm going to make a private void down here. I'm going to call this select first button. And I'm going to basically move the code that handles that out of here and into there. And why would I be doing that? Well, I'm going to have to call this again another point. I don't want to keep rewriting the same code. My rule of thumb is if I have to write it more than once, I usually make a function a call for it and just do it in the same place there. That way I risk or lower the risk of making a mistake by messing up the second time I write it. So we're going to call it select first button when we open the menu, like so. But now down here also, we're going to call select first button. And we're going to also want to refresh our inventory. I guess I could just reopen the inventory and do it that way. But no, this gives us more control because if we want to select a previously selected button, we can modify the function. So we'll do it this way. I'm going to say public void refresh storage. And I'm going to call my populate inventory and populate storage functions here. And now I can call this function instead of these two on open menu and open menu after fixed frame. So we can say refresh storage, like so. And then I can say refresh storage and select first button. Okay. Now back here, I can say refresh storage. And now I also want to select a button again. I'm going to make this public and come back here and call select first button. Now we do have an interesting situation. I'm just going to show you. Actually, I'll go in the game here in a sec. Don't forget to go over here and put true in or get components for your player inventory and storage inventory. Otherwise, you won't actually get them if the game objects are deactivated. Almost forgot that, and that could give you an out of index error. So let's go into the storage, open it up, and I'm going to put all the items from my storage or my inventory in my storage. And what's going to happen if I do that? Let's just go actually make sure this is loading first. Let's go in here and go to storage. Yes, okay, that did load and save correctly. Now, if I were to put my last item from my inventory into storage, you can see I can't select a button. Now, I'm still free to click stuff, but I'm making this for a controller, so let's make sure it works for a controller. So if you do a for loop through your inventory, if you still don't have a first inventory slot selected, let's then instead search through your storage. And obviously, if you have nothing in your inventory and nothing in storage, well, then there's nothing you can select anyway, so you're good. So again, replace the keyword inventory with storage. And we're just going to iterate through our storage list instead of our inventory list. And then we'll select a button from there. That way, if you literally take every item from your inventory and put it into your storage, you're not just stuck in a menu, unable to move to a new button. All right, and if I go in here, you can see this works very nicely. Cool, all is well. Okay, I think that's pretty much everything. No, I forgot to do categories. Oh, okay, let's try to squeeze that in really quickly. So we can yoink much of the category stuff from our shop. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I'm just making sure this is not broken, by the way, before I continue. Just really making sure this is fine. So we can yoink the category stuff from our shop. Let's go to our storage manager menu game object and add an input manager. I'm going to call it player UI storage manager input manager. I'm going to yoink everything from the shop manager input manager and paste it. And I almost forgot, almost broke tradition. I need to drop in my namespace here real quick. I did delete the start and update functionality, but my namespace was not dropped in. There we go. All right, so change the keyword shop to storage, and you should be pretty much good to go. Obviously, we're going to have to yoink some functions from the shop manager, but they're going to work identically, so we can just copy and paste them and change the name. So here it is, update shop category. So grab all these variables here from your shop with the header shop and go back to your storage manager. And again, I yoinked these from shop manager. And you can see here we have, did I grab the header? I think I grabbed the header. Let's just see. Yes, I did. Okay. So we have buying or selling, which we don't need. Do we need shop category? I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be item category, and I've just called it shop category, not thinking about storage. Yes, that is exactly what I've done. Okay, I'm going to go over now and yoink sort shop and update shop category. And I'm going to copy that, come back over here to our storage manager and paste it. Again, I'm going to change the keywords here. Now I'm going to do a trick real quick. First, I'm going to go back here and name update shop category to update storage category. This is over on our input manager. And then I am going to go back to my player UI storage manager after I'm done renaming all these things from shop to storage. I think I'm missing one more. It looks fine. I'm going to go rename player inventory to shop inventory, and then I'm going to rename it back to player inventory just so I don't have to write out all of those changes. Okay, so we want to sort both our our storage and our inventory at the same time. So first I am going to make a function for deselect all buttons because now I'm calling this deselect button more than once. So I'm going to copy the code for deselecting all my buttons and paste it in here. And I'm going to replace the calls here on populate storage and populate inventory with the deselect all buttons. And now I've copied the code which goes through our inventory and storage and deselects all the buttons. And I'm going to check for null because if you call this before the arrays have been initialized, you're going to get an error. So just make sure you do a null check and you should be good to go. And I'll paste these in here like so. And I think we're good. All right, I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to jump over to sort shop by category. I'm going to change that to short inventory by category. We'll call deselect all buttons up here on top. And then I am going to go to wherever it says player inventory, duplicate it, and then call the duplicated version player storage. And through the magic of editing, I will be right back. There we go. So basically do everything twice, once for your inventory, once for storage. And then down here where we're selecting our first button, let's just delete that because we already have a function for that. And we can just call select first button. All right, looks good. Now I'm going to save that. Going to go over here under shop categories, and I'm going to change the name of this to item category. I'm going to change the name to enum to, which is going to break our other enum variables, by the way, on our shop manager. So you want to go and fix those after. If you're going to rename it like me, I am going to fix them too. So change all this to storage, basically highlight all of these icons, drag them in here like so. And then I'm going to save. Come back over here to your storage manager and make sure you declare when you open the menu. I'm going to say storage categories, storage category index, set category. And this is just going to set the category to wherever you had it. And it's going to load the storage and player inventory based on that. Do the same thing on open menu if you do it on open after fixed frame. Save that, go down here and go to your item shop category script. Going to change it to UI item category. Going to change this variable name, which again is going to break any of the serialized variables that we have that are using this. That's okay. And now I'm going to make a header. Now you could make an enum for this if you plan on having more than two, but we have storage or shop managers. I actually do usually make enums for this, but I'm not going to right now. So I'm just going to call the header storage or shop manager, and I'm going to say if it is a shop category manager, then we know it's going to affect our shop manager. If not, it has to be our storage manager. If you plan on using item categorization in other areas, you should make an enum for it. It'd be a lot neater. But we're going to do an if else because we only have two options here. So I could copy and paste all this like this, but this looks a bit much. So let's make a function for resetting all of our button colors. I'll call it reset button color. Let's make it require an array of item category. And let's rename this to item categories. And then what I can do, I'm just going to delete this so it's not so crowded so I can explain. I'm going to copy this for loop in here, right? And replace it with reset button color, like so. And then I'm going to paste this for loop down here. And let's copy the first line here and place it in here because this is going to be our shop categories. But inside this for loop, we're going to change this and we're going to make it cycle through the thing that we pass. And basically now we're just making this code that looked so monstrous before do the same thing, and instead of having to copy and paste it twice, we can just change the array we're referencing. And it's going to look like this. So we're referencing the shop categories up here, but down here we're going to reference the storage categories, and it's going to do the exact same thing. Just change the keyword from shop to storage, and then you're good to go. So I got to go to my storage manager, storage categories. I can't type right now. And then we're going to go to, from shop category, we're going to say storage category. And then lastly, we're going to, instead of sorting our shop, we're going to sort our storage. Man, say that 3 times fast. Okay, I think we're good. And I'm really pressing time here right now. So I'm going to try to cut some of this out in post and make it a bit quicker. Let's see, save. Go back into our prefab and on tick is shop category if you're using storage. And make sure you set the right item category type. Likewise, go back to your old shop manager and make sure these are all set to the right type because it likely broke. Okay, let's save this and go into the game. And now if I open my storage, and if I try to sort by category, boom, yes, it works. Weapons show weapons, armor shows armor, and all shows all. Okay, guys, there you go. You have a working way to store all your items and sort them by category. Now we have an inventory for our storage, so you can put what you want in there. Okay, the only requests remaining are a pile of AI things and also some client-side predictions. So I ask you, what would you rather see first? I will cover whichever subject people want to see first. The first episode of Diablo in Unity should be out very soon. Thank you guys very, very much for being here. I say this a billion times, but I'll keep saying it. Thank you to my patrons for literally keeping the series alive. Thank you to the people who take the time to leave a like and comment to help the series circulate. And even thank you to the people who tried out my demo, left me a review on Steam. Thank you to everybody who just participates in any way in the community. You have my sincerest gratitude. I hope you guys have a very lovely weekend. I'll see you next week.